If you enjoy the channel and would like to support us, you can do so by heading over to our online store where we work with our graphic designer to create eye-catching designs that depict your favourite aircraft from World War II, fighters, helicopters and transport. You can pick the design you like and tailor it to clothing, stationery, phone covers, coasters and much more. You can head over to our website at aircrewinterview.tv and click store, or go to redbubble.com/people/AC interview. Thank you and enjoy. So Eskil, then you became a test pilot. How did this come about?
Yeah, so I think growing up on the farm and being around different machines and engines and then being able to fly a few different airplanes, that interest was with me for a long time actually, and I thought it was going to be too late in the end, but because Norway doesn't have a very large test force, it's only a handful of people, and a majority of the testing is done by US Air Force or the manufacturer. But an opportunity came up with with the F35 and everything, so I applied and got through there, and then it was sent to the US Navy Test Pilot School, which had the first opening for us at the time.
So did you have to have a degree in like physics or mathematics or anything to become a test pilot?
Not necessarily, but it depends a little bit. Sadly, the Norwegian military forces it doesn't include that sort of program as many other air forces have. So you then just have to work harder. but I followed calculus lectures and stuff at the local university in Trondheim in my spare time, as I did the academy. Oh. So just to make life a little bit easier. But yeah, it's very technical, and so you have to have a reasonable background to make it through. Yeah.
And I think everyone thinks you just fly jets all day, but there's a lot of behind the scenes, isn't there?
Yeah. So they say it's 50% theory, 50% flying, and then 50% report writing. And that's not far off the truth. And I think it's the hardest thing I've done. It was harder than Shepherd.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was. Because you never got a break, so at Shepherd, in between, towards the end of the T-37, you get a bit of a break before you then do a full fire hose of info again on the T-38, and the same thing on the towards the end of the T-38, the airplane a bit and have a bit of spare capacity, but at test pilot school there was no spare capacity, there was no window of relaxing or anything, but it was at the same time the most rewarding I've done ever in my career professionally, and because I wish that everyone could do it who's interested in flying airplanes, because it gives you so much insight into why things are the way they are, and I got to fly about 25 different aircraft during that year, and that was just the beginning, because when you got that ticket, it opens a lot of doors. So, yeah, it was amazing. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Yeah.
So, when you talk us through some of the aircraft you actually flew over there, you said 25 there, but what kind, was it helicopters? Was it just jets?
So the initial focus on the first aircraft I flew was a Black Hawk helicopter.
Oh wow!
So
That's
then,
cool.
And so all the fixed wing guys were put on the helicopter first. And all the helicopter guys flew a Beech King Air 200, and that's just to put you into the zone of being uncomfortable, and how to, as a test pilot, they say, this is now your future, and we'll teach you how to be reasonably comfortable in a very uncomfortable place, or a very unknown place. So from then on, it just went on and on. There was a lot of theory into performance, and then you kind of stuck to a few handful of airplanes. But then the last 6 months is flying characteristics, and then they'll start to bring out the different toys and Yeah, I flew, you flew gliders, you fly beavers, tail draggers, the Texan or the Harvard, MiG-15,
F-18. Wow.
Yeah, and F-18s, the P-3 Orion, B-25. So it was just mind-blowing. And my final project, there's always a final project, and my final project was the P-51 Mustang.
You lucky bugger.
Yeah, I know.
But you mentioned the F-35 before. What was that like to fly, and what was your role at testing this aircraft?
Yeah, so Norway has harsh winters and has always had a drag chute fitted to the airplanes since, F-84, F-86, the F-5, Starfighter, F-16. So we had to have something to stop the aircraft on an icy runway. Just one of their requirements. So this came about quite early, and so Norway was then part of the design process with the F-35, with Lockheed Martin and everything. So I went to the States in 2015. I was there for 2.5 years, and was part of that program, and I was integrated as a project test pilot on the drag chute program at 461st Flight Test Squadron at Edwards, which is an amazing time. I never ever thought I was going to be able to do such a thing, but to be welcomed as a part of that team and hearing the sonic boom, when you're walking through the hangars there, as it was back in the 60s, for me it was incredible. The airplane equally is incredible in the way that it can do so many different things, and the way it is to fly, and the testing we did too was pretty interesting, because it's we did the dry testing and then we did the wet testing at Edwards, but then I flew the airplane to Fairbanks in Alaska with the Eielson Air Force Base.
Cool. Wow.
And then so then did the ice testing there, made the ice on the runway, and certified the airplane and the chute for down to very, very slippery runways you can ever find in Norway. So that was a success.
Must have been very satisfying, that kind of job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you are a little part, but of a big team with engineers, and there's so much clever people that you get to work with, and that achievement together and that team effort was amazing to be a part of. As I try to teach my kids to learn something new every day, and that was definitely the case during that whole time over there.
And what was the kick like from the afterburner from the F-35 compared to the F-16? So it looks like, is it 40,000 pound of thrust? Yeah, F-35 has?
Yeah, so it is. I would say it's probably similar. I think it's a heavier aircraft.
Yeah.
So the ratio is probably not too far from each other, I think. But obviously a tremendous engine, loud, but the technology too, and the way the FADEX works and everything is a very proven to be a very safe airplane and engine combination as it is. I think the flight controls are probably the most astonishing.
Is it similar to the F-16? Obviously got the side stick.
Yeah, so the stick moves a bit more.
Okay, right.
Obviously not as much as an Airbus stick, but it is something in between. But there's no air brake as such.
Oh yeah, there's not. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
But there's an air brake switch. So when you put out the air brake switch and engage the air brake, the flight controls, depending on the situation, the speed, the density, angle of attack, and the flight regime, it schedules all the different flight controls to brake for you. So the feeling for the pilot is that you're actually braking,
right? But
there is no air brake. So and also that you can pull twice the alpha of the F-16 and still doing pedal turns and everything, as you can see on the air shows. And so the flight controls have come on an incredible way since the 70s, as you'd expect. But it's just as a pilot coming from the pretty agile F-16 to the F-35 it was mind-blowing. Yeah.
And obviously, with the U.S. Navy test pilot school, did you only fly the C, or did you fly all the models?
No, so the F-35 came later. The testing at the U.S. Navy test pilot school was it was largely, as you say, Navy-based aircraft.
Right.
But my testing was part of Edwards and the Alpha. So it was the Alpha model.
Yeah.
So I flew AF2, which is the hardest working F-35.
The workhorse.
Yeah, absolutely. It was called the workhorse. It did all the corners on the 9G and 1.6 Mach and all the big corners. It was a one-off aircraft. Inside it was pretty basic, but
oh really?
Yeah.
Oh,
but
wow.
had old stuff inside. Not as the
all steam gauges.
Yeah, some of it. Yeah, but obviously you can't tell unless you sit inside but all the radios and stuff. But the sensors are incredible. Obviously, irreplaceable aircraft for what it could do and have done for the F-35 program.
Mm-hmm. So, what were your favourite aircraft to fly or test in this in arena? It's hard to choose, I'm sure.
It is. Yeah, I think I've been lucky. As I'm up to, I think I've flown 122 different aircraft, and it is hard to choose a favorite. I think my big moment was test flying the F-104 on my own.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
After so many years of 16 years of refurbishment or restoration, and also the whole thing coming together as a civilian experimental Mach 2 afterburning aircraft and giving the approval from the CAA, and also
which is it seems very rare these days, especially like a high performance jet like the 104.
So to do that on my own without anybody with me, just reading the books and lighting the burners or a burner was an incredible thing to do. Yeah.
You could feel a kick in the pants when it took off.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just as much as any of the F-16. Even because we had an F-16 chase, but he struggled to keep up on the way out.
No way, really?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh wow.
So only when I came out of burner, you could catch up. And
catch up now.
Yeah.
But you also fly for Red Bull, and I'll link your Instagram in there, but you do some amazing flying. Can you tell us about this Red Bull flying you actually do?
Yeah, so I met Raymond Riedman, who's the chief pilot, and the team down there in 2012 when I was flying the F-16. So we kind of jumped together throughout, from airshow to airshow, like a gypsy family. and fell in love with their enthusiasm and the fleet that they have. So we stayed in touch over the years, and an opportunity when I started flying for Airbus Defence and Space down in Munich. So Salzburg was just a couple hour drive away, and I reconnected with them there, and then started flying with them in my spare time, and that's what I do full time now. And
you get paid for this as well.
Yeah.
it's incredible.
So yeah, no, it's a fleet of aircraft. It's approaching 40, and it's an incredible collection that we exercise all the time, and use it as in promotion as well for the brand. There's some amazing aircraft I've been lucky to fly.
And do you ever do air shows in these aircraft?
Yeah, lots of air shows. That's what we do, and it's also more or less partnered with the local country's Red Bull and drinks organization, so to sponsor the drink and everything. But yeah, you're invited to a lot of different air shows, and we perform there and try to do a good job.
Do you have a favourite air show you've flown at? Was it difficult to say?
Yeah, it's not a difficult one. They're all special in their own ways. Some of them are, you know, in the evening air shows, which is quite spectacular because you can also see, you know, the firework. Those who do that, part of that, and then. I think flying formation and formation aerobatics is probably, you know, one of the highlights to do that. And it doesn't really matter where you are. It's just trying to do a good job. And yeah.
So we've got some personal questions for you here, Eskil, if you don't mind you answering these.
Yeah, sure.
So do you have any hobbies, obviously apart from flying?
Yeah, no, it's I'm a petrol head, so I grew up on the farm and I love cars, especially vintage cars. And my old dream, and it's still a dream, but I'm working towards, is getting an AC Cobra replica.
Oh, wow.
Together. Yeah, so well into cars and motorbikes, and ridden motorbikes as long as I've been allowed to. I also do a lot of triathlon. Currently working on an Ironman World Cup, but a bit of skiing. I started skiing when I was a year and a half, I think, in Norway, and that's it. You know, the day doesn't have any more hours.
Busy man.
Yeah.
So obviously, I want to ask, what aircraft would you love to fly, past and present, that you haven't already? It's a difficult one.
I think it would have to be the SR-71.
Oh, okay, right.
Just because of the technology behind it, and you know, the speed, and especially the engines and the ram effects. And
yeah,
and
it's just cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a mean-looking thing.
It is. It looks lethal, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I think there must be that one. I mean, there's tons out there, and I get fascinated by almost any airplane I see, and.
You still a kid at heart, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Straight up, like, where are you playing? And look up straight away.
Yeah, I can't keep, you know.
Yeah, you try not to, but you do.
Yeah, I do.
So we mentioned it before, but can we find you online anywhere?
Yeah, so I have my Instagram account at Eskil Amdal, and so I try to post some interesting things there, maybe a little bit of insights from the Flying Bulls, or you know. So try to share a little bit what I've been lucky to do, and I hope that can help others to get some insight. And thank you for doing this too, because it's I just like to give back a little bit from what I've been lucky to get through in my career so far.
Absolutely. So I can highly recommend going following Eskil on Instagram. But thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Eskil.
No, my pleasure too.
Cheers.
Cheers.